The Cincinnati Bengals have a new defensive coordinator. His name is Al Golden, who comes from Notre Dame. He's been the defensive coordinator of the Fighting Irish for the last couple of years. He also has some ties to the Bengals organization. And this was a really good hire because Al Golden did a fantastic job with that Notre Dame defense this past season. They were third in points per game allowed. They were 10th in yards per game allowed. And they were fourth against the pass. And last year, the sole reason why the Bengals wasted Joe Burrow's MVP season is because the defense, time in and time out, always let him down. They were 25th in points per game and yards per game allowed. The red zone defense was an abomination. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't stop the run. They couldn't stop the pass. They couldn't stop you, me, or even my grandpa if they was out there on offense. That's how bad Cincinnati looked defensively. And if Al Golden ends up being the right hire to replace Lou Anarumo, then Zac Taylor is going to remain the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals for the next 5 to 7 years. But if Al Golden turns out to be a whiff and an incredibly bad hire by Zac Taylor, Al Golden is going to cost Zac Taylor his job. This is one of the most important hires that has been made throughout the entirety of this offseason when it comes to just staff hires. If we just remove the head coaching hires and we just focus on who's getting hired as OC, DC for all of these coordinator vacancies, this was one of the most important ones because if the defense still continues to struggle, how are you going to be able to stop Lamar Jackson and the Ravens next season? How are you going to find a way to slow down the Steelers if they can get the quarterback situation figured out? You know, it's just so tough to win when you have to ask a guy in Joe Burrow to play flawless football in a conference that's home to majority of the NFL's top quarterbacks. It's just hard to win this way, which is why the hiring of Al Golden is so important when it comes to deciding if Zac Taylor is going to be the head coach in Cincinnati after this year. Because if this hire pans out, then we definitely could see the Cincinnati Bengals right back in the AFC Conference Championship game. We could see the Patrick Mahomes stopper right back where he belongs in the playoffs. But if Al Golden ends up being worse than what Lou Anarumo was, it's going to have disastrous results. Not only are we going to see Zac Taylor get fired, but we could see the Bengals picking top 5 in the draft next year. That's how bad things could get. So Al Golden has Zac Taylor's job security in his hands. If he works out like how Jeff Hafley did for LaFleur and the Packers this past season, because remember, he was the head coach of Boston College, and then he ended up dipping to take the Packers defensive coordinator job, and they had a top 12, top 10 defense this year, and that's with them missing their best player, Jair Alexander, for the majority of this season. So if Zac Taylor has truly gotten it right with Al Golden, then I have no question that he's going to be the head coach until the end of time, because the Bengals are just one of those franchises that they're okay with good enough. They don't care if Zac Taylor wins in the playoffs or not, although I feel he should be able to win with Joe Burrow, but all they care is that you can consistently produce good results. And if Zac Taylor can get the Bengals back into the playoffs, even if they don't ever come close to winning a Super Bowl again, the Bengals will be okay with that. But if they don't make it to the postseason this year, I feel like Al Golden is going to be the straw or the hump that broke the camel's back, because this is a really important hire.